Hey, it's Arcsecond. In this video, I'll cover the 7.5 patch notes and how it affects the tier list. For our first champion, we have Aatrox, and Aatrox can definitely use some changes and buffs. We have him in B tier, and he hasn't really seen much play. So they updated pretty much his whole kit. They updated his passive, so that's Blood Rush, which gives him 25% attack damage and up to 50% attack speed. And the cooldown on his revive is also down, which is great. And then, so Dark Flight no longer has a health cost, really nice buff, but the base damage is down quite a bit. But they did change it from bonus attack damage to total attack damage to 1.1. And then it also gives you the Blood Rush. For W, also doesn't cost health anymore. And then they changed the heal, no longer has a bonus attack damage, but the base is up and it gives you 5% missing health, but no longer the extra 50%. So it should be, yeah, not too bad. And then it also gives you the 20% for Blood Rush. Then E-Blades of Torment, probably the most important ability. This does have a health cost, 30, but then they buffed the damage by a little bit. And then the slow is down. Yeah, the strength and the duration though. But it also gives you that blood rush. So overall, not too bad. I think these changes look pretty good. Don't think, maybe not quite S, but I think we put him back. I think he might have, he made it out of B tier now. And then, yeah, for our next champion, we have Fizz. Fizz is pretty good. Definitely as mid laner now. They definitely are pushing him in that direction. And with that direction, they've given him, or given his Q 0.2 extra AP ratio, which is actually a huge deal. With how Fizz works right now, to burst, really relying on the ult or on that passive. And instant burst damage is a lot more valuable, especially on an assassin, a melee one at that. So this is a really nice change. And they also made it so the tick is faster, really nice, and the duration is also longer. But they nerfed his R by a little bit. But I think these changes are actually really nice. I could see Fizz even being at S tier. I think we're going to put him there. Yeah, I think we move him all the way up to S tier. I'm excited for these changes. I think they're going to be good. So for Kindred, Kindred hasn't seen as much play. The new jungle makes it harder for him to use his passive, so they've updated it. So now it has first tier just goes straight to Scuttle, and so you no longer have to deal with the Raptor camp on the first clear. And so you can wait and then get it for your second, third mark. So yeah, they gave Kindred smell buff. You're going to be fighting over the Scuttle Crabs, but this is pretty good for Kindred. And Kindred we currently have at A tier. I'm not sure if this is going to push it over this passive change to S tier though, but this is good for Kindred. And now we have LeBlanc. LeBlanc, the last nerf definitely wasn't enough. We still have LeBlanc at S, but here they've done something. I heard about this change, the W change, and I was worried about the wave clear, but they're still giving her the wave clear. Her Q now deals 80% damage to minions, up from 40, and then that also applied to the passive and the spread. But they really did nerf the W. The damage is cut in half, and the mimic damage as well, pretty much. So this damage nerf is big, so you're going to be using this more for utility, which isn't that out of line with how she likes to play now. Now a lot of the time, like old LeBlanc, you would QW, and this would be a big source of your damage, but now a lot of the time you just go for WE. So you're going to have, be more about that utility and the mobility with LeBlanc. I still think she'll be decent, but I think this will push her out of S tier. So we got, that was a nice nerf. And then for Lucian, this is cool. I thought Lucian was already a pretty smooth champion, and now they're making his Q and W even easier to get off. But for Lucian, we have him at A tier, and then I'm not sure if these quality of life changes are really going to push him anywhere, or push him over to S. Misfortune, they're changing her. She was actually doing really well in the last patch, or for a little bit. Her build was really good, the lethality items were good, Black Cleaver, but now they're nerfed a little bit, and now they're changing how her Q works, and now it would crit, and it'll always crit with the bounce if it kills the first target. So that sounds nice, but the IE doesn't fit as well into her build. I wouldn't be surprised if you build it now, but I think Misfortune, the support Misfortune and AD Misfortune probably push her back to A tier now. Rengar, extremely powerful champion. We have him high on our ban list, and after today it'll probably be even higher. So for Rengar, we have him S tier. So they nerfed his base armor, basically nerfing and the health from W. So it's gonna hurt his first clear a little bit, but it's not really going to change that much. His first clear ganks weren't that strong in the first place. So I think Rengar is still gonna be an S tier champion. Then Rise, we've got another mid laner who's actually getting a decent or pretty big nerf. Because with Rise, you would have these spell flocks. A lot of time, a lot of Rise would back after the third wave and just rush for that tier, which is going to be a lot harder to do with this extra second cooldown. And then they also nerfed the base W by 2.25, which is actually a pretty big deal. Especially this, you'll stack your tier up a little bit slower, and just getting out of lane will be harder now. So I think he's also pushed out of S tier now. So Varus, he became highly banned, or the high banned champion. He was really superior compared to all the other AD champions. And then we have him at, so we had him at S tier. So nerfing his Q, the maximum damage you can get by charging up is down a little bit. And the cooldown is also up. But then it can be reduced if it detonates Blight, but that doesn't happen all that often. So this is definitely a nerf. This one's tough. I'm not sure if this is going to be quite enough. It's definitely nerfed, but it might still be S. I'll keep an eye on this one though. So that's all for champions. Now we're moving on to items. I believe the Rune King's being changed. They're changing the active damage from physical damage to magic damage. That's the first thing I noticed, which is pretty nice, and especially for someone like Zed. But then, and the lifesteal's going up by 15. The attack damage is going up by 15. Yeah, lifesteal by 5, 15, and then but the attack speed is down by 15. But it is a cheaper item, but it no longer heals. But then, if you're using it at the beginning of your combo, which is normally when you would go for that, the heal doesn't matter all that much. And then there's a bug fix. This item it's going to be pretty similar, but I'm interested to see if it's built on Zed again. And so Edge of Night is receiving at the mid-patch update, which gave it a nerf that wasn't too bad, and then nerfing the shield duration, the shield duration by half should be a pretty big deal. I think the item will still be pretty good, but I think this will make it pretty balanced now. And so for masteries, Bond of Stone really wasn't being utilized all that much. So they gave it but 5% maximum health, and then this extra ability doesn't look too bad. Like on champions like Zac, maybe Nunu. I'm interested to see how this plays out. It looks decent, has some potential. And so for Deathfire Touch, the bonus AD ratio is down from 60 to 45, which is nice. It's direct nerf to Jhin. And then some Varuses would take it, but Varus also would go Bloodless, which is also being changed. So, yeah, this is another small nerf to the AD casters bot lane. But they changed Bloodlust. Bloodlust has been changed quite a bit. So now it's more, it has like as a build up, and so you can get up to 50% lifesteal, but at max level. So the laning phase benefits won't be that strong, but this movement speed is really nice. 30% movement speed is a huge deal. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, and then this ability would be nerfed. And then Fervor got buffed, so Fervor might be the most popular. We'll have to see how good this is though. And so here we have, I'm excited for this change. Exhaust is finally being nerfed. It no longer reduces the attack speed by 30%, also good for Diana. And then you don't lose 10 armor and 10 magic resist. So this is really exciting. And so I think assassins are going to be even better. Fizz got buffed this patch. Zed might be, or Zed's still good, and then Talon's strong. And then, so how this affects, how all these changes go through, assassins are definitely going to be a little bit stronger. So for the bans, we actually took out, LeBlanc is probably not in here anymore. And then, all these other champs are though. I think Kha'Zix probably is a little bit lower. Alright, let me do something. Alright, I'm gonna do this as well, and then Camille's probably 4. Another top. I'll fix this in a second. And then for the last one though, I think we have another assassin that I'm talking about that much. It's probably Talon. Okay, I didn't do this. Well, alright, there we go. I think these are probably going to be the bans. The last one's up in the air. Maybe Fizz will come in, but I have a feeling it might be an assassin. It also depends how the new Bond of Stone plays out. Maybe some of the tank junglers will actually be pretty good, but I'm not as convinced. So for right now, we're going to go with Talon. He was pretty strong last batch. He's still going to be good. The Edge of Night nerf was there, but I think he's still a powerful champion. And then Graves, Rengar, Kha'Zix, Camille, Jace, all still really powerful. But yeah, LeBlanc and Ryze, we got 2 mid lane champions that were nerfed. So I think that covers this patch, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for watching.